Good morning. Welcome back to the Red Mic. Happy Wednesday. Glad you're here. Today's Red Mic message: spinning plates eventually crash. I saw a graphic the other day. Justin Meacham strikes again. It was called the Burnout Map. And what struck me wasn't the complexity of it, but how simple it was. And it had a lot of stuff on it, but it was very simple, I thought. Use one screen only, take small breaks, know your energy. Simple ideas work because they hit a baseline, they hit a root, they hit the core, they hit the thing that really matters. There's a kind of tired you can get that sleep by itself doesn't fix. There's a kind of tired where you can only sleep so much and then you wake up and then you can get back on that wheel and be tired all over the next day because I went to bed too soon and I didn't get enough sleep, or I got too much sleep and then I woke up and then it just created this vicious cycle. You work all day, you answer messages, you sit through meetings, you jump between tabs, you put out fires, and then you stop at the end of the day and you realize the one thing that actually mattered is still not done. That's a different kind of exhaustion because it doesn't feel productive. It feels scattered, and scattered is exhausting. And burnout usually doesn't come from a dramatic collapse. It comes from the small leaks. Too many tabs, got that memory burn, too many interruptions, too many unfinished thoughts, too many people having constant access to your attention. That's one of the ironies of, for me anyway, of COVID was I found that I was getting all of my, 8 hours of work done in about 5.5, 6 hours tops. And thought, okay, what am I not doing? Why is this not, why am I being so much more productive? I figured it out. People weren't knocking on my door. They weren't coming by. Hey, you got a minute? Those moments, instead of knocking on my door and interrupting my flow, they also weren't interrupting themselves. Instead of taking that time to knock on my door and ask me, "Hey, Patrick, I've got this issue. What do you think I ought to do?" They were just swallowing hard and saying, "Okay, this is what I think is right." And it struck me as funny because I'd never been a micromanager, but just me being in close access, they were taking it on themselves to force a micromanagement situation. And the same thing can happen in burnout. You have these unfinished thoughts, too many people having this constant access to your attention. It's like the guy spinning the plates, on the old Ed Sullivan show or something like that. At first, it's impressive, 1 plate, 3, 10, but then he's bouncing back and forth between all of these sticks up in the air, trying to make sure all of the plates keep spinning. You can't do that forever because eventually one of those is gonna wobble, and then another one, and then before long, it's all gonna come crashing down. And that's how a lot of people are living right now, I think. They're not focused, they're just sprinting from wobble to wobble, trying to keep those plates spinning. Eventually, your brain just stops landing anywhere and you're physically present everywhere, but mentally present nowhere. I used to see this in kid football all the time. A kid would start struggling halfway through practice, and some coaches would assume, well, he's being lazy or is distracted. He was usually overloaded, too many voices, too many corrections, trying to make sure, okay, I pull here, but in order to pull, I've got to make sure I pull that arm all the way around. At the same time I'm doing that, I've got to make sure I twist my ankle just the right way to make sure my foot's pointing the right way. And when I go to block the guy, I've got to do the step, I've got to do the dip, I've got to do the uncoil, but all of that's got to happen. Sometimes the best thing you can do as a coach is to simplify everything down to one assignment, one responsibility, one thing to focus on. And then suddenly that kid looks faster, looks more confident, not because he got smarter or better or stronger, but because that clarity reduced both his physical and his mental exhaustion. And adults, we're not different. We just carry laptops instead of helmets and shoulder pads. Somewhere along the line, we stopped leading. We started confusing availability with leadership. And we think that being responsive means being effective. We think multitasking means that we're high performers. And I've said this before, you can't really multitask. You can work fast on one thing and then move very quickly to something else. And yeah, it looks like you're getting a lot done all at the same time, but really you're still sequential. But sometimes because you're so focused on what comes next, that fragmentation might impact that first job. Fragmented attention is going to drain you. It's going to drain all of your people. It's going to drain your leaders because hidden work is still work. The constant context switching, the inbox management, all of that, the emotional labor, the quick questions that derail you for 15, 20, 30 minutes. That stuff counts, even if nobody sees it. So if you don't stop long enough to reset, eventually your body is going to start waving the white flag. Brain fog, short temper, no joy, mental heaviness. You're going to feel behind even before your day really starts. And that's not weakness. That's not laziness. It's overload. Because you got to remember, effectiveness often is not about doing more. It's about reducing the noise, simplifying your assignment, stopping the sprint between all of those wobbling plates so you can figure out what actually matters. Focus is not laziness. Focus is discipline. Clarity is not a luxury. That's today's Red Mike message. Hope you found it interesting or helpful. I hope you're able to use some of these things in place in your own life. I appreciate you for being here. I really do. Please give me a like, a follow, and a share. What do you think about my Groot mug? I love Groot. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. By the way, I posted last night that I might be ranting and raving on Friday about the Texas Ranger bloody jersey, the Nolan Ryan jersey, and the fact that tickets are ridiculously, stupidly expensive. I don't know that I'm going to. I think I was just in a bad mood when I realized that, it's stupid to pay $200 for 2 tickets. I was also in a bad mood because I was flipping through the channels last night and I saw that the Astros were playing the Dodgers. I thought, okay, yeah, they're stinking up the joint this year, but let's see how the Astros are doing in this game. And I click on it, said, this is blocked in your area. Why? 2.5 hours from Houston. Why is it blocked in my area? Well, apparently I'm close enough to Houston that they consider me in their local market. Same thing for the Rangers. So if the game is on one of the various pay-per-view channels, can't watch it for free in Austin. Now, why on earth would I pay to watch a team that is so near the basement that if it rains, they're going to get their feet wet when the water comes in? I don't get it. Anyway, but I digress. Anyway, I love you guys. I'll see you again tomorrow. Don't forget, as always, life is short. Drink the bourbon.